Hi, it's your girl Keldra Pinder here, author of the riveting memoir The Water Has Come, and you are watching Eliot Kelly TV. Never lose your passion.
Welcome to another dynamic episode of Eliot Kelly TV. Today we have with us Captain L. Roscoe Dames II. He's a JP. He's a consummate multimedia professional, born and raised in the Bahamas. He spent the past 30 years building professional and personal relationships that have created new opportunities. He proudly leads the team of professionals at Ivory Global Management Limited. He's the publisher of Up and Away Flight magazine, and he's a consultant. And he's here today on Eliot Kelly TV. Welcome, Roscoe, to the show.
Eliot, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you. And it's really funny being on the other side of the microphone, being interviewed. You know how it is. You're so used to doing the interviewing. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Today, our topic is going to be the sky is not the limit. But before we go into some of the challenges and opportunities that you've faced, Roscoe, in the media, share with us your professional story.
Well, I'm going to give you like the short version of it because I have an interesting background. It actually ran on parallel lines. What I mean by that is my background, I'm an IT professional. I was trained as a computer programmer, systems analyst. That's where I got my professional training, and I stayed in that kind of professional trend for a number of years, developing software, creating training programs, doing systems analysis. When PCs just came on the market, mainframe. So I've been in that, from the very beginning of PC life, So I've had that experience, worked in the insurance, banking, retail, casino, and the airline industries from a programmer standpoint in the kind of development of software. Then I always had an interest in business. So as I developed into owning businesses over the years. For example, the insurance brokerage at one point in my life, a commercial fishing vessel. That's where you get the captain from, the boat, because I always loved boats. And then I in parallel to that, I've always enjoyed the creative, the entertainment industry. So I kind of parlayed my IT training with my interest in radio and becoming, a radio personality, and then developing the entertainment side of things. And the reason why I say it ran on parallel lines, because it started to come together. Where I had the opportunity to run a record label recording studio in Washington, D.C., owned by Bob Johnson and Marcus Johnson, where it brought together my IT training, my business acumen, and my love of music and entertainment and radio. So all of that kind of came together. And then I came back home and was afforded the opportunity to run the Bahamas National Festival Commission, which started about 4 years ago, and introduced Carnival to the Bahamas. So it was the largest, in the lifespan of the commission while I was there, about 30 million US dollars was spent in the injection into the entertainment industry to develop this new event for the country, but not a new style of event because it's popular around the world. And then, moving from that, once the festival commission had dissolved, I got an opportunity to come and publish the in-flight magazine for Bahamas Air. And once again, all of life experiences, my travels to music festivals, my involvement in the production of music festivals and concerts, all came together. I love cooking, and so when I had the opportunity to produce a magazine for the Bahamas and to feature other destinations in Bahamas that fly, like Trinidad, Cuba, Haiti, Turks and Caicos, and the rest of the Bahama Islands. I just was, it's like throwing a fish into water, because now, I was able to feature recording artists, visual artists, culinaries, and, people, and I was afforded the privilege with my team to actually manage a team remotely, because I have writers in Trinidad, Cuba, Haiti, Turks and Caicos, the United States, and teams around the Bahamas. So it meant that we had to use the technology, which I was trained in, use the talent in the writing and production side of the publication. And one of the beautiful things and we'll get to talk about this shortly, one of the beautiful things I enjoy about that, and I want entrepreneurs to understand, that when you manage a project, you don't have to know everything. You do your role. My role is an organizer. I organize, I put professionals together, we work as a team, and I lead the team. I don't have to do everything. I allow my graphics designer to do what they do best, design. I allow the writers to write, do what you do best, what you're passionate about. Give me the best of you, and when we put it all together, we'll have the best product that we possibly can have, and that's a compliment to everyone who's part of the team. Because at the end of the day, when we lift up the magazine, I want everyone who had anything to do with it to say, you know what? I'm part of that team. That's my work, and a compliment to everyone else, that's contributing to the product. And it's a national airlines magazine. So it was important to us from the publishing standpoint, to be as diverse as we possibly can, and celebrate the contributions of everyone who is in it, whether they're in it as a writer or as a guest or someone we're featuring. I'm absolutely proud to be a leader, and to work with professionals who understand everyone's role. So that's my kind of professional career. Like I said, it was in parallel lines, I thought, right? And then it kind of came together, and it was running on one track, because now I'm able to provide consultancy in marketing, media, social media, public relations, publishing, as well as business organization. Because one of my greatest strengths is I'm very organized. So, you never realize how important that is until you have to organize something. You go, okay,
yes.
Okay, I'm okay now. Because you never think about it, and you never think it's a skill that somebody else would need. You need it, but you didn't realize, it now has emerged into a consultancy business.
Thank you, Roscoe. I think our audience can find value in better analyzing how you're able to orchestrate this symphony. And we know that things don't always go right. What is the greatest challenge for you in the industry?
One of the greatest challenges is combining the technology with some of the old school methods. Technology has a tendency to be insensitive. You and I are interacting, via technology, but it would be so much more special if you and I was actually sitting in a room together, that real human interaction, right? So I think some of the challenges that we're faced as a business, and in media, and in business, like I said, is how do we bridge the benefits of technology with the old school touch and feel experience, and we're losing that. So I think there are ways that we need to, and like I said, we're challenged with being able to convey that message with more of the technology that we're having, the message, we have social media, Instagram, we have all of these things, but what's missing is the sensitivity of human interaction that we've gotten away from. And for obvious reasons, we're experiencing COVID-19 and the physical distancing and all of that has kind of helped even isolate us even more. And that creates the challenge. How do we address it? I think we have to address it very slowly. We still need to get back to a handshake. Eliot, glad to meet you. That human interaction, because I think the more we get away from it, the more I guess it's not really a word, desocialized we become, as opposed to social media. Social media is not social media. Social media has distanced us from the social component, but it has kept us together from an informational standpoint. And there's a tendency to be information overload, but lack of sensitivity. So I think that's the greatest challenge in my estimation. Yeah.
Thank you. I think this period is definitely defined our social statuses quite a lot. In the last, I guess it's been 8-9 months, right. I've realized from a personal development point of view how much of a hugger I am. I love to hug.
I would hug anyone now in months.
I haven't hugged anyone in months, like you're saying, and I feel deprived.
Yeah, right.
And I think this is having an impact on persons, whether persons want to admit it, whether they are aware of it or not. There is definitely that challenge. So thank you for sharing that with us. And definitely when I see you in person, Roscoe, I'm going to grab you and give you a big hug.
Yeah, we have to have some type of social interaction, The reality is, it is, yeah.
What keeps Roscoe inspired, or who keeps Roscoe inspired?
I often think about that, and to be honest with you, creatives keep me inspired. What do I mean by that? Visual, performing, recording artists, and the like. I'm inspired to see something being created from a thought, a word, a dream, or a feeling. And that's where creatives come in. And, business, like life, is a stage. And, if we take an artistic approach, not only to business, but to our life, we would enjoy a colorful experience. And, I look at a blank canvas and, the mind of an artist. One of my favorite artists is Salvador Dali. And Alan Wallace, our local artist, I always say this, he is shy, just this shy of being a genius, right? And he takes a pen or it takes a rake with leaves and do a portrait, so if I'm going to be inspired, I'm inspired by watching or being around creative people, because I want to have that creative juice flowing through me in the way I consult, the way we create an event, or the way we create the magazine, what emotion we want to invoke from a creative standpoint. And that's what inspires me. I love great music, as you know, but it inspires me to see the creative. I've worked in a recording studio where guys come in and say, well, I want to do something with an urban feel. That's how it starts. That's it. There's not one note has been played. And, a few weeks later, you go, man, that's what you had in your head? So the creatives is a big inspiration to me, just being around that process,
Thank you. Roscoe, what does success mean to you?
Wow. That's a loaded question. I mean, you come at a bazooka. What does success mean? I know a lot of people contribute success to wealth in terms of dollars in the bank or money that you can see. But success to me is being recognized for the work that I've done and being invited to participate with a project that can use my expertise. And to me, that's the greatest of success. I look at, I for the last 13 years, I've produced in the summer, a summer music program. And I remember while working up in Washington, I sat looking out the window of my office at the Discovery building, because it was just down the street from us. And the inspiration hit me. I said, I know all these musicians. I love children. I love to mentor. I love to see them coming from a one place and being transported and transformed into another. And I said, you know what? I need to start a music program, because I could put the artists together, with the students. And I'm not a teacher, musician, or anything. I'm an organizer. That's what I do. So let me organize. Let me find out what the musicians would need. Let me find out what the students would need. And I'll bring it all together, and I will deliver what they need to do their job. So that, to me, is the measure of success. How could you impact how can I, or you ask me what success means to me. How can I impact someone's life that enriches their life and make them that much better when they walk away, or think about me, or I run across their mind, they go, man, I really enriched because I met this guy, and that, to me, is success. Yes, having financial means and all the rest of that is one measure of success for some people. But, when you could reach out to an Eliot and talk to Eliot, or Eliot decides that he's in an environment where, I know a guy who can help you with this. This is his expertise and skill set, because I was touched by him. That happened to me when I went to Washington. A friend of mine, they were having problems. They were losing money, and the company needed fixing. So the guy, they made a comment that, I might as well go to the islands and get a guy under a palm tree, could probably do a better job running the company. My buddy held up his hand and said, I do know a guy.
I know a guy.
So I met him there for 2 days, stayed for 2 years. But, and I often ask myself, and I did ask myself the question, what's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that happened, I could learn something, and I could come back home more enriched. The worst thing that happened, they could find me and I could go back under a palm tree in the islands, sipping a coconut, where they found me. I was happy.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's what success is. And success to me is being able to enrich someone else's life based on life experiences and the things that I would have acquired in terms of knowledge and contacts and all of that. That makes life so much better when I've seen some of the students who've started the program and the very first program, they've come back as mentors, and they want to pay it forward with other young people. And then when you hear young children, young teenagers come and they look at you at age 20 and 20 something, they say, your program really changed my life, or it had a big impact on my life. What could you want more than that? That money can't buy that.
No way.
The money can't buy that. So yeah, that's what success means to me. I had to think about that for a while. Yeah.
We're gonna throw a curveball at you. We always do this to our guests. Knowing what you know now, Roscoe, is there anything you would have done differently in your professional career?
I think I would have done a little differently is try to impact more lives, more people. I didn't realize the impact I had, in later years, like the last 13 years, like with the camp. Had I known that, I would have started at 25 years ago, because we often wait, and I'm guilty of the same thing. Well, I need to be successful and well off in order to, give back to society. But we can give back at every stage. And I think if I'm able to do it again, I think I would have started giving back more earlier, in my career, because I did mentor, I didn't realize I was mentoring people back then until it became, nouveau to be a mentor. I was mentoring people, from college. We used to have study groups and, all those types of things, everyone working together, trying to get through college. So, you were mentoring. You didn't, you figured, well, I don't have my degree yet or whatever, so I'm not really there. I don't have a job. I don't have money. So I can't give back. So if I was able to do it again, and branch out more into the world, and take more advantage of technology earlier. I grew up in technology, but I didn't necessarily take advantage of technology. It afforded me a great career in that aspect of it, but I would have focused on inventing a solution of some kind with the technology, be one of the kind of movers and shakers, the jobs of the world, I think I would go after that if I was able to do it again. You see it, you think about it, but you didn't do it, so I would do that a little differently. And I think it'll change the directory of people who would have come in contact over the years in terms of mentorship, helping more people, and I would have liked to help more people. That sounds kind of strange, but if I had to do it all over again, I think I would really start earlier mentoring and taking someone under my wing, or more people under my wing. As I grow, they grow. As we push each other forward, we continue to push each other, because I'm a lifelong learner. As you can see, I love learning. You don't stop. You keep learning, keep evolving, keep developing, and I think I would. If I have to do it all over again, I would want to have more people around me evolving like that. Learn. What course are we going to do next? What are we going to do? Let's go. My sister and I did our boat captain's license together. I look at my sister and say, "What are you doing here?" She said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "You know how we go. We competitive, right?" So we both, sat side by side, being competitive and learning, and it was fun. So I would do more of that. I wish if I had an opportunity to do it again, I'd do more of that. Yeah.
Thank you. You spoke about some of your travel experiences. Tell us one of your favorite destinations and give us a story from that destination.
Oh, wow. Okay. My favorite experience would be Montreux, Switzerland, to the Montreux Jazz Festival, and being able to stay at the organizer's home, Claude Knops. What he used to do was open up his home for musicians and the people who were participating, and you could have gone up there and hang out with Herbie Hancock, and you just hang out at his place, where a lot of cooking was done, and all that kind of stuff. So you could, it was kind of like base camp for the musicians, and Montreux to me was the mecca of jazz festivals. So you go to New Orleans Jazz Festival, you go to the Montreal Jazz Festival, you go to Brazil Carnival, you go to Trinidad Carnival, you go to Reggae Sunsplash in Jamaica. These are places, you have to go to the motherland. You want to go to a salsa festival, you go to Cuba. So I was able to go to the motherland, as far as I was concerned, Montreux, to the Montreux Jazz Festival, and that was the highlight, I guess one of the highlights, but, just being around the musicians and the creatives. I produce music festivals and jazz festivals, but to be a guest and be a part of the gang was a very rewarding experience for me personally. Yeah.
How can persons get in contact with you, Roscoe? And what are your specific services?
Well, it's actually easy. Roscoe Dames, RoscoeDames.com. You could find me there. You could find our company, Ivory, IVORY, globalmanagement.com. You could phone us at 242-328-7077 or 78. or you can email igmmagazinepublishing@gmail.com. So that's the publishing side, that's my side. The services that our company offers, I like to kind of explain it in three pillars. Three pillars. We do business management, where we assist in organizing, restructuring, helping you retrain or rehire new team members, especially with this new normal, a new culture, and new challenges. The status quo does not exist anymore. So there may be new skills required or needed by employees and employers, what they're going to demand. And certainly we do business analysis to come and analyze where you are, where you need to go. And I work, like I said, with teams all, from different countries and jurisdictions to get to the result that you're looking for. So, and then we have project management, where we do events like expos, symposiums, music festivals, and concerts. It all ties into organization. We're organizers, in the grand scheme of things, even information technology, helping you plan how to set up your computer system programs that you're going to need. How do your staff interact with the program? So are you going to run a local area network? Are you going to, be offline for certain security features, or those type of things. And then we take projects from the ground up. You have an idea, Eliot, and you say, Roscoe, I have an idea. Where do we go from here? And we work with you through execution. And then there's the third pillar, marketing and media relations. That's where our publishing expertise and media relations in TV, radio, print, obviously, social media. And we sit and work and help you from a strategic standpoint. What is the strategic thinking? Where do you want to go? How do these media elements help you? You may not need all. You may need one or two, or you may need all, depending on your message, your business model. And we talk about strategy, how to spend, where to spend, what's an efficient spend, and then take you to implementation. How am I going to implement this now that we've come up with an idea and a strategy? That's what my company does. I guess it's an organization that organizes organizations, in the grand scheme of things, because we specialize in organizations and structure. That's what we're finding a lot of companies are needing. And, one of the things I wanted to mention is a lot of times people don't ask for help, and it's more human nature being afraid to ask for help. But I found in my experience, even working with the publication, you have to trust professionals who are providing a service in a particular discipline that you may not have experience. I'm not a graphics designer. I know what I like. Like when I met with my graphics designer who does a lot of high-end magazines in the US market, she said, what do you want? I said, imagine this: a fashion magazine married a travel magazine, and they gave birth to Up and Away. So that's what I want. So it's a hybrid between a fashion and a travel magazine, and they got together and birthed the baby, and the baby came out as Up and Away. And that's the only instruction I gave her. I said, do your thing. So trust your professionals. And trust your professional to tell you when they aren't capable of doing something for you. And I think it's important as professionals, and I'm quick to say, we're not engineers. I am not an engineer. I can certainly look for an engineer or speak to someone in that industry who can make recommendations based on certain qualifications and criteria, and then I can give you a short list, but I'm not an engineer. So it's important as a professional, and as professionals and as consultants, knowing your boundaries and your limits, and not being afraid to tell your clients, that's not an area that I specialize in. However, I would work with you to help you get the need. I'm not a lawyer, but there's immigration law, and then there's criminal law and all the rest
The
of it.
state law, yes.
And so I will guide you as a professional. And I think it's important that as professionals that you build the trust when you're asking for the help, because when you ask for help, you become somewhat vulnerable, and vulnerable in your mind as well. I don't know if I want to expose myself like this, but it's important as a professional to always be cognizant of the fact that the people and the clients that you're helping are vulnerable. They're big CEOs. I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
But when you talk to them one-on-one for them to help them through a problem, they have to let their guard down, and there's a level of vulnerability that they may not want to show. But it's important as a professional that you make them as comfortable that whatever they say to you, they can trust that it's going to stay with you. It's not for public broadcast, and that's an important element. I hope that answered your question.
I think that's very important. I think it's very key, having that confidence. And we speak about very often on this show about knowing, liking, and trusting. And those are the foundations of a successful relationship. Problem solving is something that I'm hearing as a skill coming through your organization. It's almost like you're using organization as a vehicle to solve problems, which is quite excellent. You also spoke about the midwifery of ideas, and I think that's what mentors, as well as consultants, anyone in professional capacities, that's what we do. We help persons give birth. We may not necessarily have to have the baby, but we can deliver the baby. And then the last point I really got from you was staying in your lane. Is very important. That back home in the Bahamas, and I heard this in America, I've heard it in the UK, I've heard it in Switzerland, people say I am a master of all trades, or jack of all trades and master of none, rather. And that's not really a concept that will be beneficial to you. You don't get the optimum rewards from being the jack of all trades. It's a requirement to specialize in your area, but try to be as broad as possible while specializing. We say in the Bahamas, stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. And it's funny, people say to me, well, you're not a teacher, you're not a musician, and you're running a successful music camp. I said, I'm an organizer. I don't need to be a teacher. I engage teachers who are passionate about their craft. I invite musicians who have accomplished in their particular area, and I invite children who are interested, or students or young people who are interested in learning. And my job, and then I hire obviously the chef and security and all the rest. My job is to make sure everyone has what they need to do what they do. So they don't have to worry about what are we eating today, or what time is someone coming to open up, and all the rest. That's my job, so it's important that, everyone handles their function. And that's extremely important,
Awesome. Yeah. What does the future hold for Roscoe Dames?
Oh, wow. Future, I'd like to be able to scuba dive off the coast of Bora Bora, because I love to scuba dive. When the world opens up, I want to be able to host a few concerts and provide some exciting and dynamic music festivals and offerings. That's my passion, to enjoy the creative process. But the future, I'm constantly learning. I enjoy the acquisition of knowledge, and be able to share that knowledge not only with clients, but people who just come in contact with me on a day-to-day basis. And I have some advice I'd like to share, and some rules of life that I live by, and it's some pretty simple ones. If you don't go after what you want, you'll never get it. And I think that's true for entrepreneurs. The answer is always no if you don't ask the question. And if you ask the question and the response is no, obviously they didn't understand the question, because you wanted an answer to be yes. If you wanted to be no, you wouldn't ask. And if you don't stop stepping or moving forward, you will always be in the same place. And finally, I got this advice. Many, many years ago. When I was in college, actually, I used to play tennis with a friend of mine. We used to go by his grandfather's place. Very, very successful businessman. And he said, boys, He always used to sit us down and give us these words of advice that didn't mean anything to us at the time, right? Because we were in college trying to have a good time, right? He said, anything that you can handle with a check, it's not a problem, only an expense. And I thought about that. I said, man, come on, you got to be kidding. If I can't pay this bill or pay that bill, that's a problem. He said, no, anything that you can handle with a check, it's merely an expense, not a problem. However, you may not be able to handle that expense today, but whenever you're able to handle that, it will only ever be a bill. It'll only ever be an expense. And I give the example, if the electricity company turns off your light today, and you go back a year from now and pay that bill, the light comes back on immediately. So it was never a problem, only an expense. You just couldn't deal with the expense, but you shift and adjust and make provisions to kind of move forward until you're able to. And that's what the journey of an entrepreneur, and to really understand whether you are an entrepreneur or not. Entrepreneurs find a way through and not a way out. Let me say that again. Entrepreneurs find a way through a problem and not a way out of a problem. What do I mean by that? You're faced with client, you lose a client. Does that cripple your business, or you try to figure out, what's my plan B? What's my plan C? What's my plan D? And if any advice I give to an entrepreneur would be, always have 4 plans. Always. The plan that you're going in with, one on the left side of your brain, one on the right side of your brain, and one in the back of your brain. You have 4. The one in the front, 2 on the side, and 1 in the back. So you always have options. You've at least thought about, what if? What if this happens? What if I don't get the financing? What if I do get the financing? Do I hire people, or do I subcontract? What do I do? You constantly, as an entrepreneur, you have to constantly think, what's my next step? What's my next step? You're always on the next step. Process, the wheel of progress is your next step. My mom often says to me sometimes, she said, son, you do these things and people copy you and they're doing this. I say, mom. And I told her this years ago. I said, calm down. I've never seen a Xerox photocopy machine create a document yet, ever duplicated a document. So if anyone sees what is going on and they decide to duplicate it, that's fine. They don't know what's in your head for the next step. Because if you're the creative, you continuously creating and thinking, what do I do next? What do I do next? A photocopier cannot do next. They only could do multiples of the same thing.
Exactly.
They're not the creative. Yeah.
Thank you so much. If you found any value here today with Roscoe, Roscoe's been dropping the golden nuggets. If you found any value, go ahead and smash that share button. You know how we do it here on Eliot Kelly TV. We wanted to extend a real sincere appreciation to you. You're doing a tremendous service. You and your team are doing a tremendous service and making a tremendous contribution to our community. You're like the ambassadors for the Bahamas in many different nations and of course internationally. So we appreciate you. We wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being on the show. If you haven't already, we do have a 2-for-1 special on our books, which are Ahead of the Storm and The Eye of the Needle, The Cost of Success. You can get both books by emailing us at eliotlkelly@gmail.com. That's eliotlkelly@gmail.com for US $49.99. Remind us, Roscoe, of your handles, please.
Oh, yes. You can find me all on Instagram, Facebook, all that, Roscoe Dames .com, and you can go to ivoryglobalmanagement.com. And Eliot, I would like to say thank you to every mentor I ever had in my lifetime that has poured into me. And I would like to thank my team for working together, and us keeping it together, because you're only as good as the people that are around you. And I don't take credit for doing everything. I do like to give credit where credit is due, because I think it's very important that everyone is recognized for their contributions. And if I'm the leader, well, I just happen to have that particular role, but I don't want to be a dictator ever, in the process. There's no benefit to that. Absolutely none. So thank you very much. I'm very honored and humbled that you reached out, and looking forward to great things for you, and keeping in touch and seeing where life takes us on this constant journey. Life's the stage and we're only playing. We're only players. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Roscoe Dames, for joining us. You've been watching The Sky Is Not the Limit on Eliot Kelly TV. Never lose your passion.